forgot I did all of that. That's funny. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to get to be here with you guys. I am going to share a little bit about leadership with y'all. This presentation was something that I've learned through Chick-fil-A, originally authored and written through Mark Miller and Ken Blanchard. They have several books in which I'll reference, so that if you guys want to go back and unpack that information, you absolutely can. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. And I have this little stand of notes for my sake so that I stay focused, because I could probably talk to you all day. But we don't have that much time, so we're not going to do that. I want some participation, though, and some of you guys I kind of probed in the beginning. I'm trying to find y'all. Oh, there you are. Okay. I would love some feedback. So whenever you hear me say today during the presentation, great leaders, I want y'all to respond with sir. So let's practice it. Great leaders.
Sir.
Great leaders.
Sir.
A little bit louder. Great leaders.
Sir.
Okay, awesome. With lots of enthusiasm. All of you guys are in here because you're serving in a leadership capacity in one way or another, whether that's within your household, within your organizations that you represent, or in the workplace. And so I want to make sure that you know that this leadership information is for you. I like to share a story with you guys today, and I want to take you back in time, so if we can roll the clock back to some of the greatest generational leaders that I would call were the people that were from the early 1900s within the United States, because the struggles and stories that they faced, not just the United States, worldwide really, during that time period was incredible and crucial for our future that we are on today. I feel like we stand on the shoulders of that generation. So let's take you back to 1920s, and on your left you'll see Pomposa Salinas Hernandez. So she was born in Victoria, Mexico, one of 6 siblings. She lost her mom when she was 3 years old. She lost her dad when she was 6 years old. They were orphaned as a family of 6, so they had to drop out of school in order to provide for their families. They needed to go and start producing some income. She was married at a young age to the gentleman on the right, Elias Hernandez. And he was a truck driver, had consistent, steady income, and they were together, united over just the sake of being able to provide and protect for one another. They were able to have 6 children. Of these 6 children, they also kind of came to the same part where 2nd, 3rd grade, they might need to drop out of school to work again. And they were about to start into what I like to call, and I think what different theologists, psychologists would talk about today is generational cycles, of where each generation kind of does the same thing that the generation before them did. However, her youngest daughter, Martha, loved to learn. She said, I'm not dropping out of school, I've got to keep going. So the family continued to push for her education. She then told them, I want to take it a step further. I don't want to just finish high school. I want to go to college. This was huge for this family. They decided, well, you know how to bake goods, you know how to sew dresses. So all the other 5 siblings helped Martha in her cause of raising funds so that she could go to college. She was able to graduate with her bachelor's degree from La Normal Superior de Monterrey, Nuevo León, in Mexico, northern Mexico, and she got her early childhood education degree. I think it's just an incredible story of just how her mother was able to engage and develop her, was able to pour into her and say, although I did not go to school beyond 2nd grade, although I was raised an orphan, I'm not going to abandon you and your dreams. I think that was powerful. To our right, we have Lila Ubense Para. It is a African-French mixture. The way the story is told is she was brought over on a boat from Africa with her mother to work the plantain farms of Venezuela. She does not recall the exact year or whereabouts, nor does she have a birth certificate, because the closest persons in town that could write it down just did an estimate. So they just wrote 1920s. Anytime in that decade she was born, and arrived in Venezuela in the 1930s. She could not read and write herself, but she was very handy and learned how to do all of the farm work that her family needed to do to get by. She was married, and she and her spouse had 12 children. I think that they had larger families back then. However, of the 12, a lot of them were getting raised in the same vein of let's learn the farm life, let's learn how to grow the crops and how to continue on. She had one son. There's always that one son. I think you moms in here maybe can relate. The one son that just wasn't flowing with the rest of them. He loved to read. He actually taught himself how to read by picking up scraps of magazines and newspapers and books, anything he could get his hands on. He loved to write, and he really could just spend all day learning in the classroom. So when it came to third grade, his father wanted him to become a farmhand, just like the rest of his siblings. And he said, "No, sir, I really would like to pursue my education." His father then actually said, "Well then fine, you can't carry the family last name. So you can carry your mother's name and be your mother's charge." It was very, very hurtful. He felt very abandoned, but he had somebody who had an I see in you conversation. Have you guys had any of those? I think so, right? Because that's kind of how you're here today. Somebody that said, "I see greatness in you. Let me help open that door with you." And that was his uncle, who was in Caracas, Venezuela, the city where there were great schools. So his mother, having 12 children, she said, "Sure, if you could help me with one, that might be great." She took the opportunity and allowed him to go and study in Caracas, Venezuela, where he was able to gain a full ride scholarship to Instituto Tecnológico de Monterrey, Nuevo León, which is also the same city, Monterrey, Mexico. So let's go to the next slide. So Martha, being the driven power force of a leader that she was from her family of 6, is in the Normal, which I like to, since we're here in Atlanta, you guys understand Georgia State, Georgia Tech. That's where I want you to go with me here. Georgia State, Georgia Tech. That's where these guys are at, but in Mexico, in Monterrey, Mexico. And they're both studying, and they meet at a hamburger stand. I'm biased, but I think food brings love. I really do. Of course, speaking on behalf of Chick-fil-A, you would hear me say that, but I do believe that. So the two met at a hamburger stand. They fell in love. They had a son, Jesus, which they named after the Son of God. They actually gave their lives to the Lord, and they felt like God was telling them to come to this place called Atlanta, Georgia, and the United States. They only spoke Spanish. So they took a dictionary and their 3-year-old son, and they came to the U.S. They came to Atlanta knowing no language, and they walked around, conquered the barrier. They were shaking, they were terrified. They were both educated professionals, but they had to take entry-level positions in order to make incomes meet. The first mattress that they purchased, they actually pulled out of a dumpster that somebody had abandoned, so they were able to bleach it, wash it, and that's what they slept on. They got connected to a local Baptist church who said, "Hey, God has a plan for y'all," and fully surrendered their lives to God. They had known about Jesus already before, but they fully surrendered their lives to God. And then Martha was able to get a teaching degree transfer from Mexico to the United States. And then Raphael was able to get his engineering degree transferred from Mexico to the United States, and he was able to launch a business of chip distribution. Now he has about 12 different truck drivers. He's a preferred vendor for Georgia, North and South Carolina, Florida, distributor of Frito-Lay chips to all the Spanish grocery stores in that area. Martha is a retired school teacher. She's an educator in Gwinnett County Public Schools for 33 years. She has her master's in Christian biblical counseling, and she counsels women that immigrate into this country and continues to speak Spanish and English. And so I'm shaking right now as I share this. I wasn't expecting to shake, but I wanted to tell you guys the story of these leaders who could see and shape the future, and who knew how to encourage and develop others, because these are my parents. And I wanted them to read my bio today, not so that you guys could say, hey, she's accomplished a lot, but I wanted you guys to hear it because I want you to know where I came from. I'm the granddaughter of 2 orphans from third world countries. But now I get to lead and employ 130 people in this county and make their dreams come true and continue to give to different organizations, and every day that I'm alive is a blessing for me. And I want you to take away that from this, because I want you to know that when great leaders serve, powerful things can happen. Who had the I see in you conversation with you? Who opened that door for you to start your organization or to start your career today? Who was that? Take a moment and think about their name while we go to the next slide. So Chick-fil-A loves acronyms, and I do too. It helps us remember things. So the S is see and shape the future. When you create a compelling vision, you are able to see and shape the future for your team. One of the things that my grandmothers did well is they had a vision for their household. They didn't have much, but they knew that they were going to push their children further and that they were going to support their dreams. Who in your team has a wild dream that you need to push a little further and support their dream? I know you're thinking of their name right now. They also have the ability to personally follow up with someone to make sure that they accomplish that. Hey, you told me you wanted to get your master's degree. Did you sign up for school yet? Follow up with your team about that. Make sure that they are actually doing the goals that they have set for themselves. As their leader, be that person who is also their accountability. And then they plan for success, make decisions, and communicate effectively. Every leader needs to make sure that they're speaking clearly with their team, that they're understanding this is their personal goal, this is what our organization has to offer. Where can the two align? Where do your business needs meet their personal goals, and how can you find a win-win? So that's S for see and shape the future, because great leaders. All right, good. I'm glad y'all are still awake. E, engage and develop others. All of us have the opportunity to engage and develop others. Have you ever heard the saying, put the right people on the right seat of the bus? Right? I think when you do that, you'll find that you're challenging them to do their personal best. You're putting them in a position where their talents and skills align with your business goals, and they're set up for success, where they will thrive. So when you engage and develop others, you start to build a high-performance leadership team, which, going back to Mark Miller, our original author here, he has several books about these. The Secret, Winning Other Hearts. Actually, if you want to write this down, his website is markmillerleadership.com. You can find out more leadership books. We could really do a whole conversation on high-performance leadership teams. But again, for the sake of time, I just want you to write down that website where you can unpack further how you can engage and develop others within your company, how you can have those I see in you conversations, how you can explain your vision a little bit better within your team, and then how you can put people in the right seat of the bus so that they can thrive. Let's go to the R. R is reinvent continuously. As a leader, we need to possess this complete and total focus on reinventing continuously. This is hard because that means change, and a lot of us don't like change. I'll give you an example. We all know Amazon, right? Yes? No? Yes? No? Remember, I said I want participation, so I hope that you guys are still awake here. But we all are aware of Amazon and its greatness within this society, and I'm pulling up my notes because I want to make sure I say the exact correct amount here about them. I don't want to misspeak. It is right here. So when Amazon first started, here's their tagline. the Earth's biggest bookstore. That's what they said. They were the Earth's biggest bookstore. That's what they were going to do. They decided to reinvent themselves, which required change, discomfort, doing things a little bit differently. And $1.65 trillion later, they are the business they are today. See what I'm saying? Let's do one more. So YouTube originally began as a dating website. They decided to reinvent themselves continuously, and now they're a $160 billion business with the most video streaming in the world. I think that's a little better than a dating website, don't you think? It's huge. I think that when we think about our organization, change is hard, but it can be vital to the success. It can make or break us. It can keep our doors open or it can keep them shut. How many of you guys had to make changes within your organizations throughout this past COVID season? Showing hands. And you did that because great leaders serve their organization's needs. And they also know that you've got to reinvent continuously. And although it's difficult, and although you'll get pushback from your team, when you're able to think creatively, solve problems, and handle this change, you're going to see and reap the rewards of the dividends of that. So it'll be excellent. Let's go to the next one. Value, results, and relationships. I'm going to say this again. Value, results, and relationships. As a business major, I can completely understand that the bottom line is the bottom line. The numbers speak for themselves. We all want an ROI. I understand that. I do. It's what helps keep our doors open. What helps pay the bills. But what if we valued relationships with our team as fervently, as passionately as we did the results? What if we came up with such a plan for the team and the people that we've been entrusted to lead as passionately as we did, knowing the preparation that's required for a great sales day, or knowing the preparation that's required for an excellent business year? We make business plans for that. You know, we write it all down. We say, hey, this is what we sold last year. We want to be up 30%. This is what we need to do. Here are the steps needed. What if we did that with our people? What if we valued the relationship with our people? Taking one person at a time and saying, I know that these are Annie's personal goals. How can my business find their goals and make the two align? How can we get Annie's goals and Chick-fil-A's goals to align? Then mapping out the game plan in the same way that you do to build the sales, but to build Annie. How much more is she going to thrive in the workplace? How much more is she going to produce? She's going to absolutely produce more and give more to my organization, and those numbers are going to skyrocket and speak for themselves anyways. I think that it's huge for us as leaders to value results and relationships. Because great leaders serve. Y'all gotta say it a little louder. Come on, don't fall asleep on me. We got one more, nice short acronym. And that's E, embody the values. I always like to talk about this one because I like to say, are you walking the walk? Are you talking the talk? People are watching you. They are watching how you respond in times of trouble. They are watching how you respond in moments of distress and of change. And they are reading everything that you're doing. They are picking up what you're putting down. What are you giving off? Are you embodying the values that you want for your organization? You set the tone for the culture as the leader. Everybody knows the saying, everything rises and falls on leadership. That's you. You say, oh, well, I'm just a supervisor. I've just newly been promoted. Okay, how many people are on your team? 7. Do you think that they're not seeing you? They're not watching you? They're not seeing how you take notes every single meeting? They're not seeing how you're 5 minutes late every single meeting? They're not watching how you set goals and reach them? You say, hey, I'm getting my master's, and you do it? They are absolutely watching what you do. And if you want to take your organization to a different level, take your leadership to another level, you have to lead yourself and demonstrate those values that you want your company to see as well. So let's go over all of them if we can. We're going to go back to the beginning and go to the first one just to make sure that everybody got them. So that's S for see and shape the future. Can you go back to it? Sorry, click back. There we go. S for see and shape the future. E for engage and develop others. R for reinvent continuously. V, value results and relationships. And E, embody the values. When we use the SERVE model, it gives us a common language. You guys heard me rattle off Spanish a little bit at the beginning, and then sharing my story of where my family is from. Language barriers are hard to overcome, but you could speak the same language and still have a barrier in the workplace. I think using this SERVE model as a leadership tool will allow you to speak the same language with your team so that you can say, hey, Tori, I want to work a little bit more on the R. Maybe we need to reinvent continuously within our marketing department. Perhaps we need to think a little more outside the box. Or I could say, hey, Kelly, we need to see and shape the future for our moms and preschoolers group a little bit more. I think we're thinking simple. We need to see and shape the future for the bigger. How can we reach more moms? How can we reach school-age moms? How can we reach the working mom? How can we take it a step further? We can speak the SERVE model language together so that we can tackle those obstacles together. Then we can be stronger. So I want to leave you guys with the challenge because we're all leaders. We said that. You guys all raised your hands, so don't go putting it down now. I want to leave y'all with the challenge today. And that is, will you join Chick-fil-A Conyers in speaking the language of servant leadership here in Rockdale County today? Thank you for your time.